we're going to have Dr. Zhang, our president, to give a couple of announcements or organizations, some events, happenings at the beginning, probably 5 minutes. And then we'll pass it on to Chris. Have Dr. Zhang, our president, to give a there's the echo. I'm sorry. Well, then Chris will talk about from the business side for probably 10 minutes. Then we'll pass everything to you and it will be all yours. At the end, we encourage everybody to send questions where web chat, or at the end, you can have a Q&A session.
Okay, that sounds good. So I'll just go straight to the finish and then we can check the chat and see if anybody had questions.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time.
Hi, Dr. Dunlop.
Hey, Chris, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm great.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good, good. I think it's time. Thank you so much for TRI Implant to invite Dr. Dunlop to give us such an interesting webinar tonight. And thank you so much for everyone joining us tonight. We're going to start with our president, Dr. Zhang. He's going to give us some announcements for our group. If you're not a Chinese speaker, I'm sorry. This is just for a quick 5 minutes announcement, then we'll start with Chris. Dr. Zhang.
Hi. Good evening, doctors. I will have a quick announcement just for the doctor in USA. Yeah, we are going to have a group buy for TIR implants. So I want to have a quick announcement in Chinese for more detail. So if you're interested in this implant, you go to the group, WeChat group, okay? 我想我们要有一个这个植体呢非常非常好，有很多的医生呢对这个植体感兴趣，那他们呢就想说这个植体呢虽然它没有 abutment， 但是它有很多的 size，OK， 很多的 size。那有的医生就建议我们能不能因为你如果 size 太多，它的 group by 一个是25个，它是某人25个的话，那它最好是有个中心的，因为它都是数字化流程嘛。比方说你要做导板、做 provisional even 的 final restoration 的话，那如果说我们大家把所有的资料放在一起，你用的时候，它中心呢会把这个导板呢。或者是植体一起送给你，这样式你就不需要存那么多 size，OK？ 我们到时候我们再联系那个这些一些专业的 lab 呢，dental lab 呢，我们来做这个管理啊。如果你愿意来参加这个活动的哈，请进到我们那个try implant matrix implant 那个 group by group，OK，呀。我们有两个方式来培训大家。一个方面，你如果说你参加了这个 group buying，OK，你可以留一部分在你诊所，另一部分呢，你你可以放在我们中心，到时候你需要的时候，我们到时候给提供设计和这些implant，到时候给你邮过去，这样式你就可以任何 size 都可以了，OK。啊，再一个呢，就是说，如果说你想试的话，那中心会提供不但帮你设计导板，并且给你 surgical kit 叫你踹。如果你喜欢了，你可以也来参加我们这个 group buy，OK。如果你感兴趣的话，大家可以进到这个 Matrix Implant Group by 这个 WeChat group，OK。好，我想我就到这里啊。I give it back to the 新梅。
Thank you. Thank you. Chris, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yes.
Yeah, Chris is the president of TRI US. He's going to talk about the business in US and some marketing really good deals they can give us, our group. Chris,
Yeah,
it's yours
thank you very
now.
much. Yeah, I'll share my screen here. I just thought I would give just the group here, just kind of a high level product overview of who we are as an organization, the path we're on for a little bit being disruptive, I think, in the dental implant business. And then I'll pass it over to Dr. Ryan Dunlop, who is the CEO of Full Arch Masters. He maintains a private practice in Fresno, California. I would say he's an early pioneer of digital implant dentistry, from 3D printing to intraoral scanning to milling in-house, and certainly specializes in full arch workflows. I would say he's one of the pioneers also in taking cases from the analog perspective of full arch dentistry to digital. And hopefully you'll see just some incredible success that Dr. Ryan Dunlop and his Full Arch Masters provides, and his courses he also provides for dentists all across the world. So we're really, for myself personally, not only is Dr. Dunlop a friend, but he's an incredible clinician for implant dentists. So hopefully everybody here on the call today sees my enthusiasm and sees Dr. Dunlop's skill sets and some cases he'll show you on the TRI matrix workflow. So let me share my screen here. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. So TRI, just a quick overview of TRI. Our company has been around for 11 years. We're a Swiss-based company. There's a lot of pioneers that from TRI that came from Straumann Group. So many of you may know the Straumann BLT implant. Our chief scientist actually developed that implant many years ago for Straumann, and also has developed this matrix dental implant with TRI. The matrix dental implant has been around for almost 4 years. We're in 49 countries, and this is we've been in the U.S. market for 2 years, but really for this year has been our major global launch across the U.S., scaling the sales organization, having our U.S. headquarters established that's based in St. Louis, Missouri. And we're thrilled for the launch of this matrix abutmentless dental implant system. So just a quick little overview. Yes, that's right. There are no abutments whatsoever with this implant. In terms of a final abutment, whether it's a zirconia screw retain restoration, whether it is a titanium custom abutment or a multi-unit abutment, everything is direct milled or printed right to our interface. Many of you know in your current implant system today, abutments are required due to the connection of the implants, whether it's an internal hex, whether it's a conical connection or a cone Morse connection. Abutments are needed for mechanical strength, so your prosthesis doesn't break, whether it's a single tooth, a bridge, or a full arch. That is why abutments are needed with your implant system today. The second main reason for abutments, obviously, is correct your implant angulation. And mills today, most mills in the United States that are coming to the market can correct implant angulation. And with our proprietary 20-degree conical connection, coupled with this bolt screw that you can see here to my right of my screen, carries the mechanical load forces, so your restorations are actually stronger than abutment level restorations. We can actually also claim with our studies that we have out over 100,000 or more implants placed, we can actually claim that we have zero screw loosening. And again, that is due to the thickness of our 2.8 millimeter screw that goes very deep into the implant. So that's a really big thing. So you're not going to be re-seeing your patients for sometimes in some implant systems today, the abutment connection comes loose and you have to bring the patient back. So that's avoided. Also, this is, we believe, less patient visits to restore your tooth as well. And certainly as many of us are on the call today, private business owners, it's a pretty big thing that you're eliminating those abutment costs from your implant company, whether it's a custom abutment or a prefabricated abutment. Just to show a quick animation video of our 20-degree connection and the reverse engineering of that smooth interface of polished zirconia going right to titanium. It drops him seamlessly after you remove your healing abutment on a single tooth perspective and place your final restoration deep into the connection for optimal aesthetics. And here it is. Obviously, on a full arch perspective, your implants can be angulated up to 30 degrees, a plus or minus 50 degrees divergent. Placing your implants as you are today, and whether it's a printed prosthesis or a final prosthesis, again, milling right to the interface. We have an angulated screw channel up to 30 degrees for aesthetic outcomes in the aesthetic zone, so you don't have a screw access hole going through the facial. And Dr. Dunlop, I'm sure, will be showing his FP1 case that we believe is very advantageous for less bone reduction, eliminating that height of those multi-unit abutments, and again, securing the prosthesis right to the interface. We believe we have a nice, strong competitive advantage, and again, excited for Dr. Dunlop to show his case. We know that photogrammetry in today's digital world is required in order to place your dental implants. And in a digital workflow, other than the matrix, you would place multi-unit abutments on day of surgery. You would torque them down and you would put photogrammetry scan bodies on top of your multi-unit abutments to be able to accurately capture the positioning when it comes time to 3D print your prosthesis day of surgery. We know that 3D printing prosthetics is certainly, that is advantageous in itself. You're eliminating temporary cylinders, you're eliminating tie bases, you're delivering a more custom prosthesis that's stronger than a converted denture. And we believe printing in a full arch perspective saves you roughly $2,000 and give the patient a better outcome. And that is what Dr. Dunlop teaches extensively in his full arch master's courses. And I know he'll talk a little bit about that. Now, taking it a step further with the matrix, not only do we have photogrammetry capabilities, but we also, for doctors that don't have a photogrammetry unit, you're able to capture accurate positioning with our scan bridge that we provide our doctors at no charge to be able to have correct implant positioning with your printed prosthetics. So again, we believe this is an enhanced patient experience. We're eliminating a lot of the cumbersome aspects of restorative parts. We make it very easy for clinicians and staff members to be able to utilize our implant systems. And for aesthetic cases that are single tooth dental implants, you're eliminating these, flippers day of surgery. You're eliminating temporary titanium abutments and flowing acrylic to it and provisionalizing your patient out of occlusion. And you're now 3D printing the same day restoration if you choose to do so. It's a faster workflow, and we believe it's a superior workflow for your aesthetic anterior cases. Now, if you had a posterior case, it would still be done business as usual. However, you would 3D print, or we'd provide you our digital healing abutment library, where we believe is extremely advantageous here. As you can see my slide here, we give you this STL file, or we provide these at no charge For myself, being in the dental implant business for over 18 years, I've always found it a little abnormal that titanium metal healing abutments are still used in the posterior. So when a patient maybe smiles, has a large smile, you would see a metal healing abutment in their smile zone. And in this implant system, not only do we have metal healing abutments, but we also provide you metal-free healing abutments. They're customizable and intended for every tooth number, as a way it should, as you have a nice emergence profile and height. They're intended for tooth numbers. And again, we provide these to you at no charge when you utilize our implant system. So we know that the matrix system not only is profitable by eliminating abutments, but you're also able to bill out and, I believe, give a better patient outcome and charge day of surgery for your aesthetic cases in the anterior zone. You're reducing treatment time for your patients. You're creating a new revenue stream. And we believe that reducing less bone for full arch cases, having zero screw loosening with our bolt screw, we believe we have a superior workflow than every implant system in the market today. One question I get before I turn it over to Dr. Dunlop here is, gosh, is it strong enough? And the answer I provide clinicians all the time, if you were to direct mill to your current implant system today, number one, it's not FDA approved, but number two, it would break your prosthesis because the implant connection is not designed nor intended for that. So it's all in the connection of our implant system, coupled with our bolt screw that is double the thickness than the screw you work with today. And I'm going to show you mechanical stress load to hopefully put your fears aside, that again, it's stronger than abutments than you use today. So here's just a quick 1-minute scientific study video that we showed and showcased globally that hopefully you'll see is incredible with our system.
This station where I will put
and if you can't hear the sound, we're angulating an implant on an analog up to 30 degrees, a single tooth, and putting a weight stress of weight on top of the crown to the analog that is direct milled to the interface and showing a 3x that any human could possibly do.
Centimeter. So then I have this cylinder, and I place the implant in the cylinder on this ground. I'm going to add as much weight as least as we tested it in our official test. So that's the first 1.25 kilo, 7.5. This is the next 2.5 kilos, 25 kilos. Right now we have 80 kilos, the maximum of any human can buy. So how is your bet? What do you think? How much more? 100 more? 150 kilos on one single crown, 165 kilos. Okay, to finish that, I will add all the kilos on it. 177, that's enough. Woo! I think that's amazing.
And you can see here the crown actually dented the stainless steel disc, which is truly amazing and did not break. So just a quick, from a sales perspective here, what it takes to get involved in our system. We like to say we make it very frictionless to be able to get adopted with our system. We have a fantastic offering just for 25 implants. It comes with everything you need, from your scan bodies to your screws to your surgical kit. And we're actually giving a free zirconia arch away, a final, in this bundle for only $6,875. You get 25 complete cases here with a final arch. That value is somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 alone. We find that hopefully pretty destructive for you in your practice. We also like to keep things very simplified here for our arch bundling. There's, to my mind, 0 implant companies in the market today that have a fixed cost from full arch to the provisionalization and to the final. We know that fees vary all over the place. So for $2,999, you can sleep at night knowing you're going to have enough implants for 4 implants, scan bodies, screws, whether they're angulated or straight, the printed provisional that will be overnighted to you if you did not have a 3D printer for your patient to walk with teeth the next day. It includes the design, and it also includes the final zirconia arch, start to finish, no hidden fees. I truly believe that's the most probably disruptive price in all of the All-in-X community. And for those of you, I think the perfect marriage is a SprintRay printer. You have to have a 3D printer, in my opinion, if you want to have same visit provisionalization, whether it's producing same visit night guards, or whether a printed crown, or whether a surgical guide, or a denture, or these All-on-X provisionals. We have a fantastic offer that if you buy 100 implants from us, we give you a free 3D printer that able to do everything that I just talked about, share site, all within 1 hour. And then for this week only, we're going to give away the brand new item that just came out with SprintRay last month. It's their Nano Cure. Very fast. Anything can cure in less than 5 minutes. It just got released last month. That value is $3,300, coupled with your arch kit that can print a full arch in 20 minutes or under. With the bottle of Onyx Tough is $1,500. So for almost a $5,000 savings, we're giving this away at no additional cost. And again, I think that's, you will not find a better deal in the community. I know that for a fact. Coming from SprintRay is my last employer, and hopefully you see the value in this. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Dunlop. Hopefully you guys are get blown out of your seat here with some of his clinical research and data, and his full arch master's offering of this course. I think is really important to understand what he does, and you'll see the value in that. So off to you, Dr. Dunlop. Thank you for taking the time tonight. Great. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
All right, my turn, huh? All right, let me share mine. All right, you guys can see that as well?
We can.
All right, good. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about my journey and kind of what landed me working with Chris and working with TRI dental implants and working with matrix implants. I have a pretty extensive experience in dental implantology. I graduated from dental school in 2006. I did 2 years of GPR residency in New York before moving back to California. And ever since moving back to California, pretty much focused on sedation dentistry, implant dentistry, and full arch dentistry. So I've seen a lot of systems come and go. I've used a lot of systems. I've liked a lot of systems, and I've not liked a lot of systems. So I've seen it all. And I can offer a little bit of perspective and a little bit of history and a little bit of future on some of these things. So I'm going to focus around this idea of telling stories. A lot of full arch dentistry, a lot of the things that I do every day are based on the patient's stories, their journeys, how they got to losing all their teeth, or how they got to needing to remove the rest of their teeth. And kind of their stories are a rebirth for most of these patients. Stories are what make us human. It's what draws us towards full arch dentistry. Full arch dentistry is transformative for patients. It's a rebirth. It's a new chapter for people. We love doing them because it's a profoundly satisfying experience to be able to deliver this level of care for patients, and it's extremely life-changing for the patients who go through this process. And the cases that I have done with TRI dental implants have gone very smoothly, and they have been very transformative for the patients. So stories captivate us, they inspire us. Social media is great at putting stories out for patient care, for education, doctor stories. It's what inspires us, and that's why I love what I do, and it's why I am here tonight to help inspire you guys through the stories that we tell. Each of us has a story. This is the backbone of my story. These are my children and my wife. We have a beautiful family here in Fresno, California, and I get to go to work for 3 to 4 days a week, and then spend every waking moment with these little people, I call them. So this is the backbone of my story. But if you can tell, look at every picture. We're smiling, right? We're showing off our teeth. And luckily, none of us have tremendous dental tragedy in our family. None of us have huge problems. But if I was struggling with my teeth, or if my wife or my children were missing teeth, I would do absolutely everything I could to replace them, because you just don't want to be distracted by a missing smile in any of these photos. So every person has a story, and their story is affected by the full arch dentistry that we provide. These are some of the cases, some of the patients that I've treated. Some of them are with TRI, some of them are with other systems, but the stories are the same. These are cancer survivors. These are mental health survivors. These are drug addiction survivors. These are diabetes survivors. And they're just regular people with rotten luck and bad genetics. So full arch implant dentistry can transform these lives. We've got men, we've got women, we've got old, we've got young, we've got all types of ethnicities. So, I mean, it is a universal problem, and, you know, I'm able to provide a universal solution. The flip side is that full arch implant dentistry is very hard. It's not easy to do. It's very hard on our bodies. We have to do long, extended surgeries. We have to take a lot of risk. If you do things incorrectly, there's very limited financial success. You can be hung out to dry pretty quickly on some of these cases. They're, you know, they're prone to legality and prone to litigation if things go south. And when things go south, implants can fail, prosthetics can fail, teeth can be lost, implants can be lost. And so you want to build in a backbone of success for yourself, and using high quality products and using high quality workflows is really the fundamental part for that. There's high overhead. It costs more and more to get these patients through the door to see you. Inventory can be huge. You know, in the past, I'd have, you know, entire cabinets full of armamentarium and inventory, and this system TRI has dramatically helped to cut that down. I don't have to have an abutment drawer anymore. I don't have to have prosthetic screws and different types of screws. I just have implants, and I have a few screws, and I have some scan bodies, and that's it. The rest is done digitally through CAD and through printing and milling. We'd get unpredictable results, you know, in the analog workflows that I used to use. You'd take an impression and then you'd send it off to the lab, and you would pray, like you would pray that they would be able to turn around an accurately fitting prosthetic, whether it was a single tooth or it was multi-tooth or full arch. You did not know if it was going to be a passive fit or an accurate fit until you got the final result. And many times it was not. And so you had to decide what is clinically acceptable and what is not. And so a lot of cases left the office with kind of suboptimal results. And those are the ones that come back to get us financially, they come back to get us psychologically, and they come back to get us in terms of our branding and our reputation. So having predictable results, less moving parts is always a good thing. Excessive chair time, you know, these cases, you know, a simple implant case would take 3 or 4 visits. If you were lucky, a full arch case might take 10 to 12 visits, if you're lucky. And so TRI Dental Implants has dramatically cut that down. You can get work done in 1 visit, maybe 2 visits, maybe 3 if it's a full arch case. But you really accelerate your workflows to get high quality results. And then, you know, there was always a significant learning curve with understanding different implant components. You know, when do I do a custom abutment? When do I do a screw mentable abutment? When do I do a screw attained abutment? When do I place a tie base? When do I not place a tie base? When do I do a supporting framework? When do I not? These were always, and when do I do an angled screw channel? When do I not? I mean, these were just questions that the labs and the dentists would constantly have. I mean, this is not like a rare occurrence. This was a significant portion of your day, was answering questions for patients and labs and other offices on how to structure these restorative and surgical cases. And so the ability to just free your mind of all of that burden and just place an implant in its ideal location, and then not worry about the restoration because it's all going to be easily designed and easily delivered through digital workflows. That's a blessing right there. That adds 10 years to your career right there. So all of these things are kind of our detriment. Implant dentistry is hard. There's more things I didn't even talk about here. But, you know, why do we do it? Why do we keep doing implant dentistry? It's so difficult. Sometimes it's so stressful. There's so much at risk. But we keep doing it because of the stories, right? I mean, we are drawn to this like a moth to the flame. The opera singer who, you know, stopped singing on stage because She could no longer shoulder the burden of her broken smile. The nurse who overcame depression to get her teeth fixed. You know, she had an opioid addiction. This lady on the lower left, she had to quit her job. She was on disability. She lost all of her teeth. She was in dentures. She was miserable. And we restored her sense of confidence and her sense of well-being, and she got back into the workforce. The father and daughter reunion, on the top here, this father and daughter had not seen each other for a few years. He had battled alcoholism and addiction. She was off in college and starting her life, and she flew back for this surgery for him to get his teeth fixed, something that she had wanted for him for many, many years. And so they reconnected over this. The father of 7 in the middle, he was in a terrible accident, a motorcycle accident, almost died. All of his teeth were removed as a result of the accident, but he had 7 kids to worry about. So they put him into dentures. And he went like that for about 10 years until his last child was out of the house, and all 7 children went to college. He got them all through into or through college, and then he decided it was his turn. So he wanted to get rid of his dentures. And then the recluse, the patient who on the right here, she became so obsessed with her broken smile that she refused to leave the house. And she stayed in her house for years. She never left. She ordered everything in. She never had roommates. She lived alone, and she just gave up on life. And so getting a brand new smile gave her the opportunity first to come to my office. My office was the first place she had gone in like 3 years. And then she built up the courage over a few months to actually start getting out and doing things again. So we're drawn to this type of dentistry because of these stories, because of the transformative nature of what we do. But on the flip side, this is how dentistry is really perceived by the population. They're scared of us. They're nervous. They don't trust us. They think that we are, kind of scandalous. They think that we're shysters. They think that we're taking their money, that we're taking their teeth, and not giving them something quality in return. So you can kind of address this head on, and you can say, hey, this isn't how I know dentistry is perceived, and but here's all the things that we're doing. Here's how all the advancements that we have made to make dentistry your friend, and for it to become that transformative event in your life, to give you the confidence to get back to the things that you love. So that, enough doom and gloom. There's very good news on the horizon. We are entering a boom era for full arch dentistry and for implant dentistry in general. This is the place that you want to be in dentistry. Ortho's great, and pedo's great, and perio's great, and endo's great. They'll never go away, but this is where the growth is. The growth in dentistry is in the implant market and the full arch market, and there's no turning back. The dental market was a $1.8 billion market in 2015 just in the US, but by 2016 that's going to reach, or 2023, which has already passed, it was expected to be 13 billion in the global market. The US dental market was expected to be 6 of that. So we're seeing double-digit 23 to 50% growth in this sector year by year. There are 35 million people that have lost their teeth and are wearing either an upper or lower or both dentures right now in the US. So this market is prime. The baby boomers are aging. 20% of adults over the age of 65 have no more teeth. So there is a gigantic market for full arch and regular, single tooth implant dentistry. And this is one of the most successful things that we do. I mean, 98% success rate at 10 years for dental implants compared to 50% to 80% for crowns and bridges. I mean, if I put, I've been in practice since 2008, so I'm more than 15 years in. I rarely see crowns that I did 15 years ago that look great, but I routinely see dental implant cases that I did 10 to 15 years ago that still look good. And the ones that are with the newer implant systems that I'm doing now, I have even more confidence that in 10 to 15 years, we're going to see those cases back with very little marginal bone loss, very little prosthetic failure. So things are improving, but at the right time, because the market is set to explode for implant dentistry over the next 5 to 10 years. Just as an aside, I want you guys to ask questions. So put them in the chats. And we'll go through the questions at the end, because I know you guys are going to have some questions and I want to make sure there's time for that. So, getting patients to agree to implant dentistry is actually very simple. When you explain what you can do with implant dentistry, they say, sign me up, let's do it. However, it's not always easy to close those cases and get them scheduled because of these things, right? So sometimes patients don't even know that implant dentistry is an option for them. Sometimes they don't have access. They don't live close enough to an office to get it. They can't afford it because these tend to be, out-of-pocket expenditures and a little bit expensive. Some people don't qualify because they're, medically compromised and they're not healthy enough to do it. Some are just flat out scared. They've heard horror stories. They've heard bad stories from other patients, or they've had bad experiences themselves. Sometimes there's a knowledge gap. They don't understand how implant dentistry can help them, or they're confused and they don't know what to believe and they use the wrong terminology, and they saw a dentist who couldn't explain it well, so they're just confused and they don't know what to do. And then rarely I have patients who prefer not to have teeth, or they prefer to wear dentures and they do not want dental implants. So that really comes back to ignorance, though, and lack of knowledge, because if they knew what they were missing, they probably wouldn't choose that. But getting patients to agree that dental implants are great, that's easy. So I start there and get patients motivated on the idea. And then I go through this checklist and I make sure that there's no roadblocks to them accepting care. So I go through their awareness, access, finances, and so on, to make sure that there's no hindrances to them saying yes. So, the story of full arch dentistry is kind of interesting. It's something that I find very intriguing, because we're in a transition period between analog workflows and digital workflows, and more people are starting to embrace the digital mindset. But we didn't always have that. We had a lot of pushback, and we had a lot of problems with the analog world before we started to kind of enter this renaissance. So the old implant systems had, like Chris said, sloppy connections. There were constant problems with abutment loosening, abutment fractures, and broken screws. And this was just the bane of my existence for many years, trying to figure out how to avoid abutment loosening. Patients do not want to come in every 6 months and have their teeth tightened. They want to just live their lives. We didn't have CBCT for a while. We were forced to use periapical and panoramic x-rays. We used dentures as transitional appliances while implants were healing. We'd have to convert those dentures to immediate load prosthetics. We'd have to use, really gross, disgusting impression materials. We'd have to verify our cases, our models over and over and over again to make sure they were accurate. And just pray at the end that they were. We'd try in teeth over and over again. Technicians would set them in wax just because that's the only thing they knew how to do, just like a denture. And then the patients would bite down and the teeth would all squish everywhere. And it was basically a trial by fury. So it was just torture. We didn't have digital photography back in the day. When I started, we would take pictures and then take them to Walgreens and get them developed, and then have the patient back in 2 weeks and go look at the pictures together. It was just torture. And then we were forced to use things like tie bases and abutments and things that had to be made separately from our prosthetics and then cemented into the prosthetic. Sometimes they would get cemented wrong. Sometimes they would get cemented inaccurately, and the fit wouldn't be passive. So this is kind of the old story. This is a slide from another lecture that I went to some years ago with a different implant company, not TRI. But just look at what we were faced with. This guy was proud to put up a slide that said that he was paying $3,300 for guides and a temporary prosthesis. He was paying $405 an implant, and his final prosthetic from some lab that was paying to be there was anywhere from $2,850 to $5,200. That does not translate into today's society, into today's marketplace. You would be buried and losing money on cases if you were doing this. $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 per arch. And now Chris comes in here and tells you what? $29.95 for everything instead of $10,000. I mean, where else can you get a 75% reduction in your overhead just by switching implant systems? So, I mean, that's a very scary old story. The new story is pretty cool. This is a case that a couple cases that I did recently. Final restorations in as little as 3 weeks, or 3 visits in a week if you want, or 2 weeks, or 6 weeks, or 8 weeks, whatever you're comfortable with. You don't have to do verifications and try-ins for this system unless you really want to. Nothing's stopping you, but you can rest on the accuracy and predictability of the workflow. You have a variety of materials to choose from. Most of my cases are still in print, right, because they're relatively new cases. But I'm starting to mill these cases, and I've delivered some crowns and some bridges, and things are going very well. There's great technology for accurate data acquisition. We don't have to rely on sloppy impressions and stone that expands and contracts, and impression materials that absorb moisture from the air. I mean, like, why did we ever accept that? Now we can use intraoral scanners and photogrammetry scanners to get really, really predictable results. Direct connections for printed or milled restorations, like Chris said, and then not having to have a multi-unit abutment that sits in between our implants and our prosthetics. Huge advantage. Less moving parts, less inventory, less potential for fracture. Less overhead, like I mentioned, more profit and patient satisfaction. And can we drive the cost of our arches down to $800 an arch? Like, is that possible if we mill in-house, if we print in-house, if we plan in-house? Can we get the cost down to $800 an arch? Can you possibly make money off of $5,000 arches? I mean, is that possible? If you plan it right and have the right education, it is possible to make money doing $5,000 arches. Now, you'll never catch me doing that, but can it be done? Yes, it can be done. And will somebody probably do it? Yeah, somebody will probably do it. But having that in your back pocket and knowing that, if somebody's trying to undercut you in the market, instead of $15,000 or $18,000 or $20,000 or $25,000 an arch, you can say, well, I can do these cases at $12,000 or $10,000 an arch and still make a decent living. That's a choice you can make, which is amazing. So the news story of what we're able to do now is so optimistic, and it's so amazing because we have these tools. We have intraoral scanners that can zero in on micron level accuracy. We have photogrammetry scanners that can pinpoint even further down to single digit microns. We have 3D facial scanners that can link and our intraoral and our extraoral data and allow for accurate treatment planning, predictive treatment planning. We have CAD software where we can completely digitize the patient, create a fully virtual avatar, and do the surgery and do the prosthetics on them like they're sitting in our chair. And then when we deliver our prosthetics that day, it literally looks the same as the avatar. And so the ability to do that while the patient waits is incredible. TRI dental implants, 3D printers, milling machines for monolithic zirconia, CBCT. These are just amazing tools that are part of our news story. And so TRI dental implants is a welcome addition to this new armamentarium of digital workflow power tools. And that's really what they are. Intraoral scanners, I'm going to skip this because intraoral scanners are amazing. We love them, but they're not without some error. We've got operator error, we've got computer error, we've got some stitching problems, but honestly, it's getting better and better every single year. And there's going to become a time in the next few years where intraoral scanners are going to completely eliminate impressions. If you're doing impressions, you should not be. I don't take any impressions for crowns. I don't take any impressions for implants. The only impression I take once in a blue moon is for somebody who comes in and needs dentures and doesn't have them. If they don't have any dentures at all and they have a crappy ridge, I have no choice but to take an alginate, an edentulous alginate to make some sort of base plate. But even then, I sometimes even just scan them, arch, and just print out a wax rim for myself. So that'll probably go away as well. Photogrammetry, one of my best friends. This is an older case, so you'll notice they're not TRI implants, but I started using photogrammetry 5 years ago, maybe more now. Just to try and get more precision and accuracy to my cases. I wanted to have truly passive fits. I was still frustrated with the impression technique, whether it was digital or analog, I still didn't feel like I got the accuracy that my patients deserved. And photogrammetry was a welcome gift. I mean, it sped up my workflow dramatically. It eliminated impressions and verification jigs completely. And it allowed me to start transitioning my cases to direct to MUA. So I was kind of anticipating this TRI dental implant revolution because I was already doing this. I had eliminated the tie base. I had eliminated the impression coping, and I was living in a direct to MUA, direct to fixture world. I just had this transitory abutment in between my implant and my prosthetic. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, like, what's next? What can we eliminate next? And the most obvious target was the multi-unit abutment. So printers, another tool for us, as Chris mentioned, Sprint Ray, Straumann, Desktop Health. They're all good companies. There's a lot of printers out on the market right now. Printer addiction is a real thing. So if you guys have printers, you never really stop at one. It's an addiction. And if you don't have a printer, you should be shopping for one tonight. You should be buying TRI implants and getting a Sprint Ray, because if you don't have a printer in the next year, like, you are so far behind the times. You need to be printing night guards in-house. You need to be printing crowns, temporary crowns in-house. You need to be making aligners for your patients, printing models. Like, that is no-brainer 2024 dentistry. And if you don't have a printer in your office, I'm sorry, but you are behind the curve now. So it's time to get a printer, and it's time to adopt in-office manufacturing. I started with a Moonray printer 5 years ago. I don't even know where it is. I think I gave it away. It should be in a museum somewhere. It's time to be scanning, and it's time to be printing. There are so many benefits of printers. You can print, like I said, night guards models, surgical guides for yourself, dentures you can print, spite splints. There's just no limit to what you can print. And you don't have to become a designer. You can just outsource the designs for these things. Labs will gladly design these and send them to you in a printable format. And you just take those files and you learn how to print, and you just print them.
One key thing is Dr. Dunlop, is we hired one of our director of clinical affairs, came from Sprint Ray, the top dentist on staff, who's based in Los Angeles, who now works for TRI. And we like to think that you get a consultant as well. When we set you up surgically with TRI, you also get a printing consultant at no additional charge, which I think is very advantageous. And then, of course, your course ties everything in together as well. So we also have an offering, Dr. Dunlop, to get your course for free with our implants that I have not said yet.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I guess I'll allow that interruption then.
But thanks for you hit it on the head. The 3D printing is certainly a no-brainer to get involved in. I think the break-even analysis is like 2 months. You get your money back and you start printing money. I like to say right away. Yep.
Pretty much. Well, here's some examples. 3D printing makes digital dentistry a reality for same day. These are just some case examples. Another case example here. Some facial scanning that we do, that we teach at our courses, how to empower yourself. Here's just an example of 2D versus 3D. Being able to turn this case 90 degrees and plan it is a huge advantage. Getting predictable results, getting ability to mill monolithic zirconia that looks and feels exactly like the avatar on the top right, and the patient loves it. Milling, this is where TRI really excels, able to mill direct zirconia to connection, whether it's a single crown or a full arch, not having to assemble anything when it comes out of the mill. That's a huge advantage. If you're going to build your own lab like I have, the technicians don't like to assemble things without models to confirm things. And, so the ability to have monolithic structures is a huge advantage. And then, we get to see the stories, the happy patients, and the happy team members and the happy doctors. So yeah, Full Arch Masters, as Chris mentioned, is a huge community. We have thousands of alumni all over the world. We teach full arch dentistry at the highest level. These are some pictures of our courses. The basic curriculum is broken down into 3 main courses. The flagship course, which is where most of you would start, is a workflow course. So you're going to see case setup, surgical demos, hands-on practice. You're going to be able to learn how to manage complications, how to place the implants, all that kind of stuff. This is just a quick little video. I'm kind of highlighting what you can see at flagship course.
Unfortunately, there's no sound on your end, but
Oh, no?
No.
So, yeah, I'm just talking about the different things that you can experience at the flagship courses, whether you're seeing design, you're seeing it, you're doing it, and then you're going home and you're implementing it. So you're getting a chance to use technology, you're getting a chance to use it on live patients, use it in demo settings, and training your team. So training your team, bringing your assistants or bringing your treatment coordinators, learning how to present these cases, learning how to finish these cases, and doing whatever part of that you want in-house. So the flagship course is a really good opportunity to see everything from start to finish. So the second course that we have is a lab technician specific course, although doctors and assistants take it. We teach the digital workflow, same day provisionalization, printing, milling for final restorations, and aesthetic finishing for those cases. So it's also a 4-day course. The flagship is a 4-day course, and the lab tech course is a 4-day course. We spend 2 days using Exocad, and we spend 2 days milling and finishing our own cases. So if you were doing cases with TRI, you would be designing and finishing cases with TRI at our course. The advanced surgical course is kind of the pinnacle of the pyramid. It's the most advanced course, and it's a live surgical course. If you were using TRI dental implants, we would set you up with that system to use during your cases. It's a 4-day surgical course as well. It's designed to teach speed and efficiency and predictability and freehand surgical protocols. A lot of the cases have advanced componentry to it: pterygoid implants, zygomatics, transsinuses, and palatals, and then as well as regular, full arch implant cases as well. You can work as either a surgeon yourself, or as a team and a partner with a surgeon partner, or you can just come and watch. You can observe all these surgeries for a lower fee. And then each person gets to do kind of like a total of 2 arches. So we break it up into like 4 segments. So you do 4 different cases. This is a video for the surgical. It doesn't have any sound, but it's still a pretty awesome video. I'll show a little bit of it. So, case diagnosis, live surgical experience. Let's see if I can zoom forward here. So, we're doing live cases. We're teaching suturing technique. We're teaching digital workflow, 3D printing for same-day restorations. I have a team of amazing mentors that fly in from around the country to mentor you one-on-one. And you're in surgery all day, every day. We have a day of lecture. We have a day of hands-on practice on models, and then it's right into the operating room. So we have a mentor in each room, and you get to go right to work doing some of the most complicated and interesting cases in the industry. And you're doing them in a really safe environment. So day 1 lecture, you're practicing on models, learning these techniques, learning how to place implants according to our protocol. And then day 2 and 3 are our live surgical days, and 4 sometimes things spill over. So I think if you guys can't hear the sound, we'll just skip the rest of this. You can combine all 3 of those courses into what's called our fellowship. So if you really, really want to have the creme de la creme, I have about 30 docs in this program right now. And you get all 3 courses and monthly webinars and business coaching and all kinds of expert mentorship. It takes about a year to get through this mastery fellowship. And by the end, you've got all the skills that you need to be successful. Okay, let's talk about some TRI real quick, because it's not just about me, right? But I really do enjoy using this system. It's a welcome tool in my tool belt. This is a single tooth anterior case that I did. It's actually my father-in-law. So, I took a little bit of risk there. He called me on the weekend and said that his tooth broke. I had done a crown on this tooth many years ago, but he's a tooth destroyer. He bites down like a pit bull. So he broke it off at the gum line. So I decided to do a socket preservation. There was no infection. I did a root banking, a socket shield procedure where we cut the root in half, relieve the facial aspect of the root alone. And then I took the rest of the tooth out. I drilled for an implant palatal to that root surface, like palatal to the socket shield. And I placed the TRI dental implant. Once the implant was in, I got really high insertion torque, maybe 80 to 100 Newton centimeters. The implant was living behind the socket shield, so it's not touching. You can see in the middle there, it's not touching the socket shield, but it's very close to it. Once the implant's in place, I put the scan body in place. It controls the position and the clock position and the angulation of the implant, and then I scanned it with my Trio scanner. Once it was scanned, my designers in my lab designed a custom crown with an angled screw channel. Because the screw channel axis was going to come through the incisal ledge and the facial. Obviously, if we can avoid that, we want to. So in this case, we used his old crown that he had to copy the morphology. And we did kind of like a biocopy, adapted it to the surface of the implant, and it went right in the mouth. And I was able to torque this crown down to 35 Newton centimeters with an angled screw channel. Like, that's a blessing right there. If you guys do any implant dentistry, the ability to have a one-piece provisional crown that looks this beautiful and torques down to 35 is a blessing. Like, I will take that every single day. Here's a more complicated.
How long did that case take you, Dr. Dunlop, start to finish?
I don't know, like an hour, including the surgical part and the design and the printing, maybe an hour and a half, from various anesthetic to starting to putting the crown in, right, and torquing it. So yeah, pretty fast.
Fantastic.
It's a little bit more of an complicated case, but not that much more complicated. This is a full arch FP3 case where we're taking out the remaining dentition. We're leveling off the bone to get to, kind of a healthy, flat alveolar process. Implants are placed. I don't have to put multi-unit abutments on, so I just put these white printed caps on and suture around them, so I have something to suture around. And then I switch those white caps to the scan bodies that you can see on the bottom left here. Once the scan bodies are in and they're seated completely, you connect them with this scan bridge apparatus, connected with flowable composite. I mean, this is stuff you have in your office. Like, this is not rocket science. Once you have this thing connected, you scan it with your Trio scanner, and you can customize your access holes, and you can print a beautiful prosthetic that fits like a glove. And I think all these, I think the two front screws here are straight, and the two posterior ones are angled about 30 degrees. So you can see this thing just drops right in over my surgical site, and I don't have to do a messy denture conversion. I didn't take a single impression. This is her. So this is her same day as surgery. So she's able to bite down and check the occlusion. She says everything feels perfect, and she loves them, and she is ready to go. This is in my operatory. She hasn't seen them yet. She's nervous, and she's about to take a look in the mirror. So I said, give yourself a huge smile when you see them the first time. I want you to hold the mirror. Here's kind of a close-up. Everything looks beautiful. We know they're going to look great, but she hasn't seen them yet. So she gets to take a look, and she's so ecstatic when she sees them. She just starts beaming. She's going, dang. Yeah, so she's a sweetheart, and she loved them. She said, I'm ready to go out to dinner. I said, no, give yourself a few days before you go out to dinner. Yeah, so it was a huge change for her. This is my buddy Luke. He's a former hockey player. You can see he's sustained a lot of damage to his mouth. He's had his jaw broken 3 times. Chris, you can probably relate to this guy as a hockey player. But he called me when I was on vacation in the Bahamas, and he said, oh my God, Ryan, my front bridge broke. It fell out in my plate. What do I do? I said, well, glue it back in with something. Go to the store and get some Fix-A-Dent or something. And then when you get back, I'll take care of it. This is what we did. I took the old bridge off. The teeth were fractured underneath, mobile, so there was no hope in saving them. So I flapped the area. I took the roots out completely because they were infected or fractured. I placed 4 TRI dental implants, kind of spread out in 6, 8, 9, and 11-ish area. The angles were, all over the place. They're not parallel at all, but it doesn't matter because the interfaces are so accommodating to angle correction that I was able to place 4 implants in whatever position I felt like. And then I put the scan bodies in place and scanned it. And this is what we were able to deliver him same day. It was a printed prosthetic with angled screw channels and an FP1 monolithic, schematic or design. I mean, what else could you ask for? High insertion torque, nice aesthetics. You can see the TRI implants are splitting the alveolar process and in the most bone possible. I don't have to, purposefully angle the implants just to get the access hole to line up with the aesthetic demand. I can just put the implants in where the bone is best. And so having that flexibility as a surgeon is wonderful. Saw him back just recently. The picture on the left here is 2 weeks after healing, right? So this is day of surgery here, but bloody mess, right? Sutures, implants. This looks rough, right? This looks tough to heal from. And then you fast forward 2 weeks on the left side here, and you've got beautiful keratinized tissue. You've got a band of like healthy, thick tissue around this implant, all the implants, and you've got almost mature gingiva. Like, how did that happen in 2 weeks? It happened because of the implant design and the quality of the provisional. This printed prosthetic is so hydrophobic, it doesn't collect any bacteria. It's not a flipper. It's not a denture acrylic. It doesn't absorb anything. It's sealed. So when they come back, they look like this. Fast forward another 6 weeks on the top here, that's 8 weeks in. You can see that is a beautiful healed case. Now we're taking our photogrammetry, right? So now, by the time this guy just came in last week, I had the ICAM photogrammetry flags ready from iMetric, and I was able to do this scan. Here's us scanning with the intraoral scanner to get the healed tissue, so to get the healed gingiva, right? Because we're going to build a final zirconia bridge to these implants, right? So he's been wearing a printed one, but we want to make him a higher quality long-term zirconia one, but we want it to adapt perfectly to his healed gum tissue. So we take a separate scan here with some scan bodies in place just to be able to capture for our lab technicians what the healed gingiva looks like, because we can make a prosthetic look even better for him and have it be a perfect fit to both implants, contacts, adjacent teeth, and gingiva by getting this tissue scan after healing. And you can see this is literally taking a minute to get all this data. It's an easy scan. This is a scan that your assistants can do. You do not need to be in the room for this part. So we get the finished scan here, and we take our photogrammetry scan. This was the first photogrammetry scan that I have taken with TRI dental implants and ICAM 4D. And you can see my assistant is doing it, not me. I'm filming. And literally in 10 seconds, we have accurate data. As soon as they turn green, they're done. So they're orange, which means they're almost done. And boom, just like that, it's done. So we wait until we have about 30 views. We're at 20, 23, 28, 30, and we're done. So now we have a 5 micron level accuracy for an implant that's designed to take an abutmentless prosthetic. Like, I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday. Thank you. So yeah, that's it. This is me and Chris and Barry Matthews at the Metallica concert last year. That was a fun night. I have a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to have an amazing event in Miami. Check out fullarchmasters.com. Follow me online, Instagram, Facebook. I'm everywhere. So it's not hard to find me. You can email me at drdunlop@fullarchmasters.com. You can take a screenshot and you can call me if you want. But yeah, stay on top of this stuff. Get involved with TRI dental implants and start doing more cases and helping more people, and you will not be disappointed. All right, let's see what kind of questions we got. We got 9. All right, I will start from the beginning. zoom this out a little bit. How do you check or improve the accuracy of the whole arch scanning for all-on-4? Well, Amy, you do that two ways, right? You use either an intraoral scanner and ScanBridge, or you use a photogrammetry scanner like iCam. So you don't take impressions. That's the worst possible outcome. You use the appropriate technology to get a higher level of accuracy and precision. So intraoral scanners, I prefer Trios for full arch cases. Other people use other ones. They all work, but you know, Trios has worked very, very well in my hands for these cases. And then photogrammetry, you cannot deny the accuracy, and especially in a monolithic scenario. What material for the pink purple coronal part of the implant? Is it the second part of the implant, and how so do they connect together? It's one part on the implant. Chris, she's talking about the collar of the implant. So what do you guys do to make that pink? Is it just like an anodized thing?
It's an anodized pink, yes, that where soft tissue attaches to. We have two types of implants. We call that the multi-level implant, which I'm sure Dr. Dunlop, you can attest, it's the best implant for full arch. We also make a bone level without that multi-collar. However, you got to consider that a little bit of prosthetic flexibility, because there is no MUA. When you're angulating your distal implants, when it comes right at that tissue, you have a nice prosthetic outcome for more flexibility. Maybe from a clinician standpoint, I'll let you comment on that, but we do have two types of implants. The connection's both the same. However, that multi-unit, I see it as advantageous for the prosthetic flexibility aspect.
Yeah, so I'll follow up and say that they do have bone level implants. I have not used them because I don't see the benefit of a bone level situation when you can have a tissue level situation and the same outcome. But if you're stuck on bone level methodologies, they have a bone level solution. Within each system, they have two sizes. So they have a regular size and a large. So they have like a 3.7 millimeter diameter, which you would use for anterior teeth and maybe premolars. And then they have a 4.7, is it?
Yes, a 4.7.
4.7 that's designed for larger emergence profiles like molars and large premolars. So there's two implants, and then there's two sizes. And then there's a variety of lengths and width. So it's not like there's only two sizes. There's just two restorative platforms. Let's see. Thanks for the good presentation. You're welcome. How do you accurately capture bite registration for double arch occlusion? Do you do an upper arch and then fudge the other arch to get accurate bite registration? No, good question. So when you come to my course, we will show you how to set your preoperative bite, right? So we actually show you how to do dentofacial analytics to establish the correct VDO for the restoration. So once the correct VDO is established using our protocols, the bite is not changed from that point forward unless you want to change it. So we set a pre-surgical VDO, and then we leave surgical breadcrumbs for ourselves that we pick up during the surgery and during scanning that allows the technician to reorient the case back to the original proposed VDO. So we deliver a prosthetic that's at a predefined vertical. And then if that vertical is not, or that occlusion is not idealized, we can make changes to our prototypes throughout the rest of the restorative process. I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Usually the full arch zirconia bridge is easy to find a fracture. What is the difference between the materials that you've used and others? Great question. So there are a variety of materials for full arch cases. Zirconia is one of them. I do a lot of monolithic zirconia because I live in a very precise and accurate world where we are milling down to the sub 10 micron level. And so I'm comfortable delivering monolithic zirconia materials and not having them break. If I do think that it is at risk for breakage, if it's a long unsupported span, or if it's a distal extension, or there's reduced interocclusal space, I will build a titanium framework into that restoration, and that seems to do quite well. I haven't done a lot of TRI full arch cases to that level, to the final zirconia level. So I will wait to answer that question until I know for sure. But I would imagine it would be the same thing. It would be a monolithic preference if I have enough restorative space, or if I have well-supported prosthetic. And if I don't have good support for my prosthetic, I'm most likely going to build a framework into that restoration. Second part of that question was, I understand that you have certified labs to fabricate the implant crowns and bridges. Is it hard for my local lab to apply to be one of them? From my experience, no. They are very, very precise, and they will not let you slide. They were pretty tough on my technicians, which is good. You don't want to have very lax standards. So I will say it's hard to become that type of lab, but it's not impossible. We did. So they'll walk you through that process, and they'll help you. Their technicians are very helpful. They will walk you through that calibration and validation process for single teeth and for long span bridges. Do you use a surgical guide for the full arch cases, even the zygomatic implants? No, I do not use any surgical guides. I haven't used a surgical guide in decades, right? So, but I'm a very advanced surgeon, so I've seen it all, done it all, and I enjoy the freehand process. I have much more flexibility. I can get cases done quicker and with less complications in my hands. Nothing against surgical guides, but my opinion on surgical guides is the only cases that need them are super complex or cases where novices are working. So you have to know how to do the freehand first before you'll benefit from a guide. Because if the guide doesn't fit, or if the guide is inaccurate, you have to have a backup plan. You cannot stop and close up the patient because your surgical guide did not fit. You have to have the skill set, and you have to have the confidence to be able to do that case without the guide, so that you can benefit from the guide. And I'm a big proponent of that methodology. And especially for something like a zygomatic implant. If you need a guide to place a zygomatic implant, do not place a zygomatic implant. How fast does it take to print a full arch in your office? Well, that depends on the printer. Anywhere from 20 minutes to 35 minutes is what we would expect for most cases. What is a good facial scanner? Do you recommend Instarisa? Is it another group that is involved in dental implant teaching in California? I'm fairly familiar with all of the facial scanners out on the market. There are good ones, there are bad ones. I won't really comment on individual companies. I will say that the facial scanner that I use is Rayface. I've used Vectra, I've used Instarisa, I've used Bellis, I've used Zircon's on Face Hunter. I've used probably a few others that I can't remember, but Rayface is the industry leader right now for high quality. MediSmile is also good as well. The key fundamental aspects is your patients have to have their eyes open. So if the facial scanner requires them that it's so bright, like the Thunk 3D or the Instarisa scanner, it's not very helpful if their eyes are closed. So it has to be able to be meshed to the intraoral data very easily, and they have to have their eyes open so that you can plan appropriately. What is the minimal occlusion clearance? What is the minimal occlusion clearance spacing needed to have for a TRI implant? Well, I would say that the anatomical height of the smallest crown. Right. So, if it's a small premolar or if it's a small lateral incisor, you're probably going to be in the 6 to 8 to 10 millimeter range. Chris, do you know if there is a minimum?
That's a good question. I don't believe there's a minimum.
Right. So the minimum is the height of the screw.
Yeah. So
however high that low profile screw is that's the minimum. So I would say 2-3 millimeters, 4 millimeters would be the minimum. But again, with no transitory abutment between, you can cheat the system a little bit and have less room. In fact, the first couple of cases I restored, I felt like I didn't have enough room, and then lo and behold, we had enough room. Does ICAM have flags? Yes, you saw my video. You can't really get them yet. There's only a small handful of people that have them. But
we actually have a nice assortment of inventory of those.
Nice.
And then you do get them at no charge when you buy our implants, as well as an ICAM as well. So if you want an ICAM photogrammetry, you buy our implants and we get you one.
So Chris, what you need to tell them is you get the ICAM and the flags, you get a Sprint Ray printer and an intraoral scanner and an attendance to Full Arch Masters. How many implants is that?
I'd have to calculate that, but I know it's 180 implants and they do get your course for free. So that nice. I do know, which I think is fantastic. There's no implant company in the market, to my knowledge, that does that. Okay. And that's a fantastic value. So you're getting
that's pretty cool.
The best education. And
I'd buy that for sure. Let's see. Would you use this implant in a V configuration in an all-on-4? I'm assuming you mean like an M configuration, like this, right? So M, 2 Vs like that. Yes, I would, for sure, because I can angle the screw channels to be exactly where I want them, up to 30, 40 degrees. Would it be a problem for milling and zirconia? Yes, it can be if you don't have the right mill. If you don't have a 5-axis mill that can mill 30, 40 degrees off axis, it will be a problem. So you have to be good at it. You have to know what your angulations are and what your limitations are for your lab. What mill am I using in my lab right now? We have a Zircon Zon milling system, and I have an IMIS Cortec milling system. They're both 5-axis. They both mill metal and they both mill zirconia. What printing material do you use for provisionals in a single implant and a full arch? Most of my provisionals are either printed in Onyx 2 or Flexera Ultra. There's a lot of good resins. Those are my favorites. They look great. They're true to shade and they're strong. Row Dental switched from photogrammetry to grammetry. Have you tried grammetry with your TRI implant system? Good question. There is no grammetry for TRI. That would be their alternative is the ScanBridge system. You don't need to have an OptiSplint or a grammetry, but everything else stays the same. So if you wanted to use Row, I know all the guys at Row really well. You could still do everything the same. They would just have to know that you're using TRI instead of another system, and then you would be sending them ScanBridge data, and they would be able to design that. How much is a TRI implant? $1 million. No, far less than that. Chris will give you all the information for how much the implants are. That's above my pay grade, so I won't answer that question. Anything else, guys? All right, good.
Yeah, I have a question, Dr. Dunlop. For the full arch, can you compare the photogeometry and the ScanBridge? Which one you use, or you use both to?
Yeah, great question. I am a photogrammetry guy, right? So that is the backbone of my workflow and the backbone of my methodology. And it's what I teach and it's what I believe in. So I between the two, I would believe and argue that photogrammetry is a better workflow for full arch cases. Now, by better, I don't mean only, right? So ScanBridge is an alternative for me. I have compared the data on a few cases, and I think both are good. But you know, there's a difference in champagnes, right? So you could drink Martinelli's and act drunk, or you could have Dom Perignon. And photogrammetry is going to give you really, really high yield predictable data. And ScanBridge can too, but it's very prone to user error. It's very prone to humidity and scanner error. So you may not get a prosthetic that fits perfectly, and you just have to blame yourself and redo the records. So photogrammetry is not perfect, but it's perfecter.
Yeah, I like the ScanBridge idea, because when you scan, you can scan both the soft tissue and also implant position. Yeah, I just I'm going to order the TRI implant and try maybe next week sometimes. I have a 4 case, so I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
Like I said, the first 5 or 6 arches that I did with ScanBridge, and for me, it felt slow and cumbersome, but that's because I live in the photogrammetry world. But compared to traditional analog techniques, ScanBridge is like driving a Ferrari. So, I mean, you're going to enjoy it if you're going from analog to ScanBridge. But if you are already using photogrammetry, you're not going to enjoy going to ScanBridge from photogrammetry. It's going to feel like a step back, but it's really not. It's just a sidestep.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. Amy. I want to meet this Amy. She's got good questions. Let's see. I saw one case you used ArchBridge when you scanned the full arch. Which company? I saw one case you used ArchBridge when you scan the full arch. I think maybe the photogrammetry, that was an ICAM. I think that's what you're talking about. If not, just rephrase the question. If a patient is a heavy grinder, do you do more bone reduction to achieve more thickness of zirconia? Not always. Heavy grinders, sometimes I'll do less reduction and I'll do like more implants, like a 6 implant or an 8 implant arch, and I'll do minimal bone reduction. Then I'll do an FP1 tooth only type restoration. Bruxers tend to do very well with that as well. But yes, I will sometimes remove more bone to get a thicker restorative material, but not all the time. Good question.
Just maybe a question on the scan bridge too. It's a printable STL file that we provide our users, where you're able to 3D print the files, and those scan bridges come in, call it an extra small, small, medium, large, extra large. They come in different lengths that click into your scan bodies, and where you're able to capture on a scanner that Dr. Dunlop showed that accurate positioning. If you didn't have a 3D printer, then we also provide those two as well as a service. But that's maybe what you were referring to. And again, we do have the scan bodies for PIC as well as ICAM to use photogrammetry, which hopefully you see that it's a fantastic solution as well.
Hi, doctor. Yes, it's the bridge, arch bridge. I think in your case number 2, and there is a kind of, when you do the whole full arch scan, I saw the picture. There is a green color, white color connected to, between the scan bodies.
Those are what Chris was just talking about. Those are printable scan bridge connectors that come in small, medium, and large. They're from TRI and they're free. So I printed those myself on a platform, and then I put them onto the implants myself based on the size. I connected them with flowable composite, and then I scanned.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to the TRI implant website. You can download, you fill out the form and download that library. Very good. I like it. And Chris, I have a question for you. For the scan bridge, does the color matters? I use some the yellow color or black color. The shape is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let me show you. I'll share my screen here again. Maybe it was bypassed a little bit on my presentation here. But
I'll jump in. It doesn't matter what you print them in: green, white, yellow.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter. It just has to be. You don't want it to be so rigid that they break when you insert them. They have to be a little flexible.
This is that picture, what he was showing you. Dr. Dunlop said small, medium, large. So you see my far left here cursor, you have that little small blue, and all the color is just the type of color resin you're printing on. So you'll see the small, extra small, and you can see they go up based on the spread of your implants. And you see that connector, how it clicks in to your scan body. That also can be used as an open tray standard impression, which we hope you would never have to use since this is a digital outcome. And then what Dr. Dunlop says in the center, in the midline here, you can see that probably just a little composite is put in place there. So if a patient's tongue's in the way, it doesn't move on you, and you're able to take a single scan versus a dual scan on a photogrammetry device. Again, the photogrammetry, I think, not to say this does not work, but the photogrammetry, I think, is just a little faster for people just getting involved into full arch digital technology. But again, I think this product alone puts OptiSplint out of business. In my opinion, there'd be no reason to pay $300 every case for an OptiSplint when you get this free of charge with using TRI. It makes no sense to me, to be perfectly honest.
And also, the thing to also remember, Chris, if you leave this up, those blue things are really not essential. All they're doing is providing the intraoral scanner a path to get from one scan body to the next. So if you're like on my case, the FP1 case, those implants were so close together, I didn't use the scan bridge because my scanner could easily jump from one to the next. Where you would want to use scan bridges on like a spread out full arch case, and all it's doing is giving your scanner something to stay on track so that you have a higher level of accuracy. They're not fundamental to the scanning process. The scan bodies are those gold things have to be visible, but technically it could be anything that connects the implants together, if that makes sense. Someone asked, what's the strongest zirconia brand for full arch? Oh my God, there's so many of them. We use Sage Max in my lab. They have, I think it's a 1200 megapascal. God, there's probably 15, anything that's over 1200 MPa is a good, strong multi-layer zirconia. Is there an exocad library? Yes, absolutely. Is it provided for after certification process? No, I don't think so, because you're going to be able to print before you can mill. So I'm pretty sure that you're going to be able to get those libraries pretty quickly if you have a in-house lab. I would highly recommend that you work with a lab that knows what they're doing at the beginning. My lab is open to alumni of my programs, but there's other labs that have used TRI, because it's different. Your emergence profiles have to be different, your connections different, your screw selections different. So you actually have to know a lot on the exocad side to be able to do TRI implants well, because it's a digitally designed implant. So it's got a very robust digital portfolio. So you really have to work with someone who knows what they're doing otherwise.
And we have actually our main partner laboratory, key partner for TRI is Chris May. He's on the call, of May Dental Arts. Fantastic dental laboratory that's heavily involved in our organization.
Yeah, Chris has helped us on a few cases.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all. I hope I answered some questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Delop.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm gonna.
Thank you, Doctor. Excellent lecture.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlop. Appreciate your
Welcome,
time.
Chris.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.